Hi, everybody. So I'm going to introduce you today to Trisha, who is doing a class with us, and it's an amazing class. But I also want to talk to her about, she had an experience that had to do with the Orion wars, or, the instigation stuff. So it brought that memory forward. And she's kind of like my dad. She gets these messages like way before it's time for things to happen, which is really cool. But also sometimes you're like, when's that going to happen? And I've had that too. Only one time, but in the past. And I was like, is it ever going to happen? Like, what's going on? So let's chat about that. I thought that was an amazing experience. But first, I want to hear more about you and what you do, because you have some pretty amazing experiences that you're helping people through every day.
Yes. So I am a psychic medium. So I'm a seer, a reader. So I do a lot of that. I've done that for many years. So I've seen spirit ever since I was a kid. I had a lot of trauma with that. But then as I got older, like really worked on that and let go of that fear I say being in spirit world, if you like.
Yeah.
And then moved on to I remember a psychic telling me once, you're going to be a healer. I'm like, oh, I don't want to be a healer. I just want to be a reader. And then all that healing that needed coming forward. So I went into healing, and that absolutely beautiful, absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So
And you
I
kind
do,
of do a guided healing.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to do the healing work yourself as well, because I was literally bypassing my healing work.
Yeah.
Thinking you can do the healing and not do your own. And it bites you, doesn't it? So you do have to do your own shadow work as well. And it's an amazing journey
It is
coming out
amazing.
there.
It's such a beautiful journey to be more and more whole, and then also watch the people that you've assisted or like sparked to be more whole themselves. Like, what
Yeah,
a
well, it's
beautiful way
holding
to
more
share.
light, isn't it? It's
Mhm.
letting that light in and just being able to hold more light.
Yeah,
Yeah. Finding their spark.
exactly. And that's what everybody is like really focused on right now. At least this audience is really focused on that. And that's helping everybody outside of them.
Yeah.
So we're going from looking at for help from the outside to looking for help from the inside, and actually sending that out.
Yeah, definitely. I do past life regression. I do a lot of healing work with the past life regression. So that really gives you control over that, you
Mm.
know, learning how to work on yourself and scan yourself, if you like, to see where needs healing the most. So that's a really lovely one.
Yeah. Letting go of the past life stuff is so massive right now. And that kind of comes around to that dream that you had. I don't know if it was a dream or a vision,
It
but
was a dream.
yeah, let's hear about that, because that
Yeah,
applies to the biggest thing that we as a group need to release now.
yeah. It was many years ago. It could be a good 7, 9 years ago. And I had a dream. So I was in this field and I was with my niece, and this field was filled with white buffalo. And there was a big, massive white buffalo with a big head, and it just looked at me. And my niece started running, which then set the fear in me. So I started running. And then I'm like, no, wait a minute. It's only Orion's belt. And I'm thinking, what is Orion's belt?
Right.
So then really back then as well, having a look for that and not understanding it. Sometimes you don't understand what you're getting.
Yeah.
And it was years later that I understood that. And then, yeah, just bring me back to like the Seven Sisters in the Sky and stuff like that. There were a lot of things going on at that time that I didn't understand.
Yeah, I think that was like the message that it's time to clean it up. It's time to transmute it. Like the white buffalo is that symbol that's like for massive change. And you were saying it's really not that big of a deal. It's only Orion's belt. It's okay. You know, you don't have to run from it. And that's the thing we have to do, is like to turn and to say, you know what, I'm not a victim anymore. And I'm going to process through this stuff and become a sovereign being, because we don't need to carry that like trauma anymore from that. Yeah.
And you know what else as well? Just after that, at the same, more or less the same time, I had a dream of, I think they were in the same week, and I were out in a field somewhere, can't exactly remember where it was, and there were a trap door, and this spider, which looked like Batman, so it was that big, and it looked like, you know, the Batman skin, and it come out of this trap door, and I ended up having this cricket bat, so I batted it as far as I could, but then it just literally sucked onto my leg, like grabbed me, and I'm like, oh, how do we get rid of this? You know, but that brings me then to the AI, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the AI behave like spidery, because it has all these little pieces of it that go out in all directions. A lot of that's cleaned up at this point, but yeah, I mean, it's been underground, it's been in hidden places, it's been in our bodies, like it's been all over. And now we're kind of coming out of that, and that's also helping us be able to transmute that energy of shame and, you know, the yucky energy that came along with that war, because really nobody was right in that war. Everybody was wrong for fighting with each other, and it, you know, it wasn't a righteous thing at all.
Yeah, you see, is that where, so I have a fear of ETs, if you like. So I get messages, I can give you messages from ETs, but my next stage, I would love to do trans channeling. And I have such a fear of other races, other ET races. So I'll sit there and say, oh yeah, I'm okay to work with Pleiadians and Actuarians because I've seen them and they're lovely to me. And then I remember, so every morning I will ask myself questions, and I'll do a bit of automatic writing. And I remember him saying to me, it's time you worked with different energies. And then I looked out a window and there's all ivy on the back of the fence. And all I could see was, literally, you know, your Space Raiders from the Space Raider crisps, if you've seen them. Literally all I could see was this Space Raider. And I'm like, really? Okay, then. But is that where that trauma comes from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's important for you to release that, because I think you were probably a seer on a ship, you know, and they weren't very nice to seers if they found them. And that's how a lot of the battle was done, was through
Because, you know,
psychic work, you know.
for many years I've hid my shine. So I've I've let it out a little bit at a time, but never been able to really shine that out.
Yeah. So it's time to release that. And all of us are going through that process together right now. And your class kind of leads people through how to release trauma. And you can use that trauma release for any kind of trauma release that you need. But and we should all use that. I mean, right now, like whatever trauma release you can come into, do it and let go and transmute it and send it. You know, you need to feel it and notice that it feels icky, and then you need to release it, because we don't need to be hanging on to anything anymore. There was yeah.
Well, it would just remind me of, so years ago, I used to work with this backpack, and I'd release the backpack. And I remember every time I was having to release something, I'd always hear that Dora the Explorer, backpack, backpack. So I'm like, oh, we're doing the backpack today. And you literally fill it and fill it and fill it until it's so heavy that you've got to get rid of it. You have to release.
Yeah, these are deep. The Orion stuff is deep trauma. Because it was like so amplified because everyone was there. So every one of us participated in that in one way or another. Even if we just lived there, and then that created the problem for us. Like maybe we weren't participating in any of, and I don't want to say the word too many times, but any of the action that was going on, you know. But we were there, so we still got affected by it.
Yeah.
And that's probably the most deep set trauma that has to be released from all of us. And we're all in the process of letting go of it right now. So any tool, is good.
Yeah. So is that why? So I saw a higher being the other day, as I told you, with the tapestry. So like a big carpet, and there were all these strings, if you like, coming off. And they were doing something with them, which was releasing.
Yeah, releasing attachments. Yeah. Yeah, we've really gotten used to, like, when you get married, so you get married and then you have a partner and you have certain expectations of that partner and you attach to those expectations and you expect them to act a certain way and be a certain way and provide a certain way. And if they don't do it, then they're failing and it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Instead of just loving them just as they are. So that's the kind of behavior that we need to let go of, is like attaching to someone because you want something from them or you want to give something to them. So instead, just loving them and letting them be themselves and enjoying them, but not having all those like strings attached, because the strings attached are actually attachments.
Yeah.
And they don't really explain that. Because that's been a big word over, a big phrase that they, the naughty ones have said for so long. Oh, there's strings attached to that.
Yes.
Yeah, that just occurred to me. I'm like, oh, there's another clue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird as well. And it's coming back to yourself. Really, so I'll say I'm quite selfish, as in I don't have a partner. I ain't done for a lot. I've lived on my own 17 years. And I had a partner for like 10 years. So I'm really self-sufficient, but it has took me that length of time to really work on myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
So really bring it back home to self.
Yeah, because really that's what you attract, is people that are like you or people that you need the lesson from. So as soon as you learn the lesson, then it's gone. So just like people that, like, I've seen people who will get into relationship after relationship and they're always with the same guy, basically. Like it's the same person. And you're like, didn't you learn your lesson in the last one? And that has kind of been the human condition, but we don't have to live that way.
Yeah.
So if you can let go of the trauma, so just as if it was an onion, if you can peel away the layers of it, then you're all of a sudden free. And it's just it's a matter of release. It's really the biggest thing that we can do for ourselves right now is release old trauma.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Just really loving and nourishing ourselves. See, that's what the course will teach. So it's everything we already know. We just forget.
Yeah.
We have so much going on outside of us. And see, a big thing for me at the minute is boundaries is coming up. So the more I'm putting boundaries in place, the more they're going, really? Let's put some more in place.
Yeah.
You know, so to really have them boundaries in place and just being consciously aware of what you put in your attention to.
Exactly.
You know, the course will teach that. It'll just, there's a few techniques in there that we do all know, and it's just remembrance of self and who we are.
Yeah, who we are. Like, we're absolutely beautiful beings.
Yeah.
And more every day, you're getting more and more of your higher being into your body. And we want to just release. So the more you release trauma, the more higher self can come into the body and live there with you. And I've noticed people are like, lately I've seen people at 30% of the higher self, because at first it was 10%, and this is just human terms, but 10% was in the body to start out with. Now we're getting into 30. Some people are pushing 70, 80%.
Yeah.
You know, and what does that mean? That means you're getting more gifts. You're able to do more. You're getting more telepathy. You probably have abilities you haven't even looked at yet.
Yes, because when I did my healing work, see, I'd suppressed a lot for over 40 years, so I had a lot to do. So, but when I did my healing work, after that week of being bedridden, because my sciatic nerve went through like, you are going to do this work, because I kept bypassing it. Yeah, kept bypassing. But coming out of that, literally I hit Christ consciousness. And just having an understanding of the I am, so many visions that I had connected at that time. I was like, oh, that what that meant.
Yeah.
You know, so really working on yourself and coming out of that. And just being able to hold that light, like you say, integrating with yourself. Now I see when I'm working, I'll say to my clients, just pull her in a little bit more.
Yes.
Pull her closer.
Yeah. Because you have your big oversoul, which is like, when I see it in my third eye, it's like a big pancake up there. It's fat. It's like the fattest pancake, right? And there's all this activity going on in there. All this communication, all this work happening inside of the oversoul. And then the oversoul sends out little pieces of itself. And those pieces are your higher self. And then what we're doing is we're ascending humanity. So the higher self is going to come all the way in to the human body. And then the human body is ascended.
Yes. So is that what I saw then? So when I was meditating about 2 years ago, and I asked, what do I need to see now? And literally my skin split open.
Oh, wow.
No, it was a bit scary at the time. So literally my skin split open, and this white, beautiful silhouette being stepped out. And I was like, oh, God, I'm quite literal me at the time, like, whoa, what's that? And then it's like, really let that higher being come forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have your light body, and then your light body goes and at night, because sometimes it's like you don't have any dreams, you're doing stuff at night, right? So that part of your higher self goes up to the higher self and they're doing stuff together, right? But the more you can get into your body, the more you can do while you're awake.
Yeah.
So that's what's so cool. Like, now you can do things and you're actually aware of what you're doing.
Yeah, so new stuff that came forward for me after hitting the Christ consciousness. So I started like transmuting more. So whereas before I would never let anything near me. I'd be like, yeah, you do this, you do that. And then I literally started, I'm like, wow, I can do this. I quite like this. So I started transmuting it.
Yeah.
I'm transmuting bad beings, if you like. The first time I transmuted a bad demon, if you like,
Yeah.
I cried. I literally cried at the gratitude that had of just, being let go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's a really beautiful thing to be able to make those changes and to feel it and to have the help to get started if you don't know where to get started at. And that's the intention of the school, is to just help people get through that, because really we're going to be like amazing in our own right in the future, and we won't really need this stuff. It'll just
Yeah.
be like maintenance, like, oh, hey, let's go get together by the campfire and we'll have a healing and, whatever. Like, it'll be very easy in the future, but we're still in the process of ascension. So it's getting easier, but we're still needing to do some of the work, to let go of stuff. So it's just been a really beautiful thing to watch.
It is beautiful. It really is beautiful.
Yeah.
And to be able to share that as well, to be able to just give something so
Yeah,
they can remember how powerful they are.
exactly. Because we're all a part of source. We all have that spark. And the only thing that's covering it up is the trauma or the programming.
Yeah.
So as people are releasing it, it's like they're shining. They just start to shine. And it's such an amazing thing to watch.
It is that growth. Well,
Yeah.
that's evolution, isn't it? Just grow, grow, and grow
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. And you grow
Evolve.
by getting more of yourself and more of your memory and more of who you are downloading into your system.
Yeah, and I got a download the other week. It was more about we were in this stagnant waiting area of like deciding what to do. And it's really just, do you want to work on yourself and evolve? Or do you just want to stay where you are? You don't want to stay where you are. You want to work.
Yeah,
You want to grow.
exactly.
But even I was at that stage of where I was like, it was like I was waiting for something. I'm like, what am I waiting for? And then it was taking that action to put the course up there, to say this is what I want to do, which really
Yeah,
started the ball rolling again.
it's amazing. I mean, even as, healers and stuff, there are people, and I came across somebody this morning that said, I'm an amazing healer and I do a lot of energy work, but I'm afraid to be seen. So, and all of us have been in that boat at one point or another, been afraid to go on camera, afraid, we've let the fear hold us back. And that's changing now. Like, we're all shedding that and showing who we are, because there's nothing that can get to us anymore. We might as well be our whole being. We're in that process of doing that. So it's time to go for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Work on it. Do the work.
Yeah.
And be free. It's freedom, isn't it? It's to be free within self.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to be that, when you're like 5 and you're just like, I'm going to go march myself down to the creek and make mud pies, and it's just going to be this fabulous experience, and it. Like, you can feel how good it's going to be. It's the adventure of being your true self and not worrying about anything else around you, but just go play.
Yeah, having that joy, of course,
Yeah.
because Anya and I, we went somewhere the other day, and she went swimming in the river. And literally, I had this I didn't go swimming, but I had this memory. So I put my hands in the water, and as a little child, I used to play with the shrimp in the stream.
Yeah.
I know, and it just came back to me. I mustn't have thought about that for a long, long time, and I was just like playing in this dream. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
beautiful.
it is. It's beautiful. So just do all those things that nourish you, you know. And when you get an activation, you're gonna be like, so after you do this course or you do other work or whatever it is you choose to do, you go through a period of detox as your higher self comes in. And I'm doing some of that right now. I'm doing like my nose is weird and I'm like, you know, so don't be afraid of those moments. That's not you getting sick. That is you detoxing the trauma because the body holds on to it and the body, you know, the body has to be cleaner for the
Yeah,
higher self to get completely in. So when you're going through a cleaning process, don't let that freak you out. I want to add that today because
yeah, because when I went through my clearing, I had like flu-like symptoms for about 6 weeks, and then it cleared.
yeah. Yep.
And I wanted to be in water a lot.
Yeah. Water is really good, especially like salt baths and stuff like that, or castor oil packs, or, you know, anything you can do to detox when you notice that something's going on.
Yeah,
That'll help. But instead of worrying about it, kind of look forward to it a little bit. Just say, oh, it's just going to pass. And guess what? I'm downloading another gift.
yeah, and you know what? It's so exciting because obviously I knew at that time I didn't know what my body was getting ready for it. So I was swimming twice a day. I was like, why am I swimming all the time? Why I'm cleansing with this natural soap? I didn't understand why at the time. And then obviously when I got that download, upload, whatever you want to call it, now, so I had like a relaxing period of like 3 months. And now I've been thinking, right, what beast am I going to get next? And then, so now I'm in this process. I've been swimming every day. I'm like, oh, my body's getting ready. What's it getting ready for? So now
Right.
it's really, yeah, it's exciting. Like, oh, what's coming?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's just,
exciting.
it's so good. So just look forward to that, you know, everybody. Things are changing, they're transmuting, you're growing. Just enjoy it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
remember who you are. Remember who we are.
exactly. This was beautiful.
Thank
Beautiful,
you.
Trisha. Yeah. And I'm going to put the class and your website below. So everybody, you guys can find her through the links below. And I'm really, really excited for this. So thank
I
you
am
so
too.
much.
Thank
Yeah.
you. See you
Yeah.
later.
Bye, everybody.